Why trombone? Why now? What am I doing here? What's this channel all about? Today, I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to give you a bit of a backstory into what I'm doing here and what you can expect to see on this channel. I'm just a random guy in my late 30s who has decided that this is the year. Now is the time to become a professional musician. And will that turn out to be the dumbest decision I've ever made in my life? I have no idea, only time will tell. But the good thing is I have heaps of experience at making really dumb decisions. In fact, my whole life has been a steady stream of dumb decisions that have turned out pretty well. So a little backstory. I have loved music since before I can remember. The only problem was I was never any good at it. I remember as a kid, I couldn't understand the difference between singing and talking. That whole concept of pitch, I just didn't fundamentally understand how that worked. Luckily though, I was blessed with a horrible sense of rhythm, so it kind of made up for it. When I was 10, my parents signed me up for piano lessons because they knew just how much I really wanted to play the guitar. And my piano teacher, she did her best, but she ended up giving me up, saying I just had no musical ability and maybe if I really wanted to play something, I should go and play the drums. So naturally, I took up the trumpet. And actually, when I started playing the trumpet, that's kind of when music started to make sense. See, the piano, I just kind of viewed as a computer and you just had to push the right button and you kind of get the right result. I didn't really understand that those buttons needed to be pushed at certain times. The whole concept of rhythm kind of eluded me. But with the trumpet, you've only got 3 buttons. And pressing the right one is only a part of the picture. So suddenly all those bits that I'd been missing started to make sense. And through the trumpet, I actually was able to teach myself how to play the piano. But most of all, I just loved playing the trumpet. It's all I ever wanted to do, and it's all I ever wanted to be. Unfortunately, and a lot of trumpet players experience this, my teeth were all over the place. They were crooked as crooked can be. And I developed a really bad embouchure. In fact, I used to tuck the mouthpiece up into my front lip. It kind of looked like I could still play pretty well. In fact, I could fool people into thinking that I was quite good at the trumpet, but I had no consistency. I had no endurance, and I just knew that I was never going to be as good as I wanted to be. So after leaving school, I did the only logical thing, and I joined the circus. 3 years at circus school gave me an arts degree majoring in unicycle and flying trapeze. And I know what you're thinking, and yes, my parents are just so proud. I thought if I could just stick it out for 1 year, I'd be happy. I just wanted to go and learn how to do some flips. But then an unsurprising thing happened. I ended up completely falling in love with circus. It taught me so many things and it introduced me to so many wonderful people, and I've had a career that's gone on 15 years performing circus all around the world. It's allowed me to travel, it's allowed me to do what I love for a job, and I'm so grateful that I made the leap to go and do circus. In fact, it's probably one of the best, dumbest decisions I've ever made in my life. Luckily, I've never stopped being a musician, and in fact, the things I learn about music through doing circus are things that I probably would have never learnt if I went to music school. And playing live music with live circus is like having sex on a roller coaster. Like, both of the things are fun on their own, but when you put them together, well, it just, if you know, you know. Fast forward to now, I ended up getting braces as an adult. You know these Invisalign things? I'm kind of wearing them now. And my teeth have straightened up a whole lot. Now, some brass players, they handle getting braces. Me, I didn't. Things went downhill fast. I went from playing kind of semi-professional gigs and playing to a decent standard to not being able to play a simple scale. I sounded like an absolute beginner, and I started trawling YouTube hours on end trying to find a solution, trying to find a magic formula to get around this thing. I tried a million mouthpieces to see if one would work, but there was no happy answer. There was no solution. It was just gone. I would take my trumpet out to the shed and I would try and play. I'd play for hours and then I'd just end up in tears because this thing that I'd just been able to do for a long time and I'd worked really hard to get good at, suddenly I just couldn't play at all. Now, around that time, I started working on a circus rock opera musical show. And at the end of the show, everybody was on stage rocking out together. And we all needed to play an instrument, or at least look like we were playing an instrument. And I picked up a trombone. In fact, the photo on my YouTube channel is from that show. And it kind of looks like I'm a professional trombone player in that photo. But at the time that photo was taken, I barely knew how to hold the thing. I wasn't very good at the trombone at all. But the thing with brass is once you understand how they all kind of work the same, so I could piece together how you were meant to play it. And crucially, because I had never been any good at the trombone, I didn't mind being really awful at it. And I was truly awful. But I was getting a little bit better each day, and that is just so addictive. So the show finished up and I had to give the trombone back. And I was loving it so much that I went down to the music shop and I bought one of these plastic trombones. It was about $100 from the music store, and it's not a very good trombone, but it allowed me to keep practicing. I made a new circus show and I wrote the plastic trombone into the show so that when we toured, I could take it with me. We're often a little bit tight for how many things that we can pack into the suitcase. So by putting the trombone in the show, I knew that I could practice a little bit every day. So I took it everywhere and I played it every chance that I got, and I annoyed all the friends and colleagues that I worked with, but they were really, really kind. They said lots of encouraging things like, "Oh my God, you are truly awful at that thing." You know, things of that nature. Then the pandemic hit. And in a matter of days, we went from a full touring schedule to having absolutely no gigs for the next year. We didn't know what was going to happen, and we were all just asked to go home and stay at home. Now, different people cope in different ways, and for me, I coped by just throwing myself 100% back into my music. I practiced my absolute butt off. I borrowed a real trombone, a metal trombone, off a friend, and I started making daily Facebook videos of my progress. Then the government here in Australia decided to pay some of our wages, and all of a sudden we got a month's wages in one day. And I knew I had to take this money and put it somewhere safe because I didn't have a job anymore and I was going to need to rely on my savings. And then I went to the music shop and they pulled out a bunch of trombones, and I thought, oh, I'll just get the cheapest one. And then they let me play this other one, and it was really shiny and it had a trigger, which I'd never played with before. And I just couldn't resist, and I spent all my money on a trombone. It's been about 6 months since I bought that trombone, and I have practiced every single day until my lips have just given up and I can't play anymore. I bought a microphone and I started learning about recording and editing and mixing and how to use different DAWs like GarageBand and Ableton and Logic Pro. I also started a TikTok account teaching music theory, which is something I've always been really passionate about. And of course, I started this YouTube channel. And I did all that because I want to become a professional musician. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to let nothing stand in my way. And I'm making this pledge to you, my subscribers, all 61 of you, that I'm going to be here every week making videos. I want to share with you what's helped me out. I want to share my struggles. I want to share the successes, and I want to build on this journey and kind of go through it together. But most importantly, I want to make content for you. Because this is not my channel, it's yours. So thank you. I'm so glad you were here. Let's do this.